Hello, Year 11. So, back with another exam style question for you. There should be a Word document that goes alongside this with the actual text you're going to use as well. So, the idea today is to look at the personal response question, which will always be question 5 on the exam. It's the final question that asks you to look at the ending of the story and the whole passage as well. When you are being asked to address this question, the chances are you're going to be asked how you feel about the text. We're going to look at some example questions in a second. But what you want to do is use some really specific vocabulary to describe and express whatever it is that you think about the character or a key event. So try to get away from just this is positive and this is negative. That's basically what you're going to try to do. But we want to use words that are a little bit more specific. In this box, you've got a range of words. Forgive the red on the left-hand side. It's just the style of the PowerPoint. But you've got a range of different words that you could use to describe a character, a particular event. So what I'd like you to do is very briefly just sort those words out into kind of negatives and positives, and also perhaps include 4 of your own. So you've got a really nice range of language that you can incorporate into your answer to stop you getting away from good, bad, negative, positive. The examiner will respond to you using interesting vocabulary to accurately describe and express what it is that you think. Here we have a range of personal response questions. These are the kinds of questions, a style of question you would get for question 5. Now, I've just picked out in red for you the things that these questions have in common. So the writer wants us to like the jeweler. This is the text you're going to be looking at in a minute. How far do you agree with this statement? The writer wants us to feel sympathy. To what extent do you agree with the statement? So they're 2 questions that are very specifically asking you to give an opinion. How far do you agree? To what extent do you agree? You agree being the key words. You may have a question that begins with evaluate. It means exactly the same thing for question 5. If it asks you to evaluate the presentation, it's basically asking, what do you think of the character or of the story? Same for the next 2 questions. How do you react? How effective? All of that language means the same thing. What is your personal response? What is your opinion about? So please make sure when you get to that question 5 that you're ready to deal with whatever the question throws at you, but it comes down to the same thing. What is your opinion? What is your personal response? And that is how you should start the answer. I agree, I disagree. I think that the jeweler is blah, blah, blah. So you are really focused immediately. The question that you're going to look at today is here on this slide. In this passage, the writer encourages the reader to feel dislike towards Knole Kluger. So feel dislike, immediately we're dealing with negativity. Do you have a negative response to this character? You should have, as I've said, the separate Word document with the passage on it. Now might be a useful time to have a proper good look at it, so you can just hit pause and go away and read it carefully. But there is the question, to what extent do you agree with this view? That's where your opinion comes in. How far do you agree? Reasons why? Appropriate language to express your ideas, thinking about the 2 bullet points, your impressions of the character, and then how the writer creates impressions. So particular words and quotations you're going to use to support your opinion. These are 2 example responses. There's a third one that comes next. So what you've got in the first one is a student who is giving some very, very clear opinions about the character. I really dislike Knole Kluger. He seems like a really rude person. So they've got the opinion thing done and dusted, but what they're lacking is any kind of evidence, which is that second bullet point on how does the writer create impressions. So they've got half the job done. Then if you look on the second example, and you can read these at your leisure, if you look at the second example, we have got an answer that is full of evidence and full of quotation. Knole Kluger is a little man in a light-coloured raincoat. He has slightly inflamed eyelids. Lots of evidence, lots of focus on N.O. Kluger, but no response to the question. Neither of these two responses are going to get you where you need to be. One has no evidence but deals with the question. The second has lots of evidence but totally bypasses the question. There's no sense of whether we like or dislike him in that second response. So neither would get you top grades. Number 3. Here we have someone who's much more focused on the question and on the text. I immediately agree that the writer encourages us to dislike NO, followed by a quotation, followed by focus on the adjectives on the fourth line. So we have got a clear opinion, dealing with the text and the how, and it goes on to further develop that. This negative impression is supported when, verb grit. So here we have almost an amalgamation of the first two answers. We've got someone who is giving their opinion, using the text to support it, and dealing with the how when they're zooming into those key words. That's what your answer should look like. Here you have the question. You've got some sentence starters to get you going. So you should be able to get started here if you're stuck, but you're going to spend some time now answering that key question using those sentence starters to get you going. I've also included grade criteria so you can mark your own piece of work once you have finished. Remember, it's 10 marks. You're aiming for a side of A4. There should be a detailed reference to the ending or to the whole passage, in this case with a focus on the character. When you have done all of that, as a little bonus extra, you have a very short extract about Mrs. Danvers from the novel Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. So you can have another little go. Maybe think of this as a 5-mark question, maybe one detailed paragraph. You've got some sentence starts to help you. But remember, give your opinion, use the text, and do some work on key language in the text as well, layering your quotes as you go, making sure that you give your personal response. Good luck, everyone, and I'll be back next week with some more. Take care. Bye.